Hello and welcome to the latest from Hearts Standard. My name is Joel Sked and I'm joined by my colleague James. How's it going, James?
Yeah, not bad, not bad. Bit busy morning
Yes.
over at the Heart Standard Towers, but we're getting there.
Yeah, it's we were ready to do this earlier on, but James had a unexpected and unwelcome visitor. We'll leave it at that as in a is an electrical problem.
Yeah, it was very exciting. Yeah, I was getting a
Yeah,
fuse box replaced, but
there
yeah,
you go.
basically was stuck in the kind of Stone Ages for a couple of hours this morning, which wasn't ideal.
But yes, we power through. And before we get on to talking about the Kilmarnock game coming up tomorrow, Heart of Midlothian go to Rugby Park in search of their fourth successive league win. Victory that if they were to emerge victorious, it would lift them into third place for the short time, for at least 24 hours anyway, because St Mirren go to Ibrox on Sunday. But before we do that, we'll just quickly talk about the subscription offer we have on at the moment. I'm sure if you follow us on socials, you have probably seen it because we've tweeted about it a lot. Apologies for that, but there's nothing we can do about that side of things. But the in terms of the offer, James, it is 10 it is an annual pass for £10 and it runs out at midnight tonight when it then reverts back to the normal price of $34.99. Tell the listeners or viewers, because we're on YouTube and Facebook, what they can get for their £10 annual pass.
We are biased. We should put that
Yeah.
in front. I think we're allowed to be biased. That's fine. But I think we're making some really good stuff. I think we've done that over the last couple of months, ever since we launched 10 weeks ago now.
Mid-September.
I think we've done a lot of great. I think there's been a lot of great stuff that's gone up on the site. There's a really good variety of things as well. There's a wee bit for everything. Something for everyone. I think. There's we've got some nice long form interviews with guys like. Kostadinov is one of the ones you've done, or we've got one just even today from Clevet de Kimona. Again, just kind of ex-players who've got that association with the club. We've got interviews with the likes of Lewis Nielsen, who is away on loan at Partick Thistle. A couple of older players as well, guys like Ian Ferguson,
Alex McDonald as well.
McDonald, of course, there's another one as well. So again, we've got quite a varied kind of wee back catalogue going already, I would say, of different kind of interviews that we've already done. There's also a whole bunch of analysis pieces as well, like tactics, like stats, that kind of thing. Again, we're using the Stats Bomb. It's an industry-leading data provider. Loads of professional football clubs use it. It's an excellent service, and we're trying to really dig deep into detail after every match and figuring out where it was won, where it was lost, why it unfolded the way it did. And I think that's something that we're doing that I don't know if you can really get that elsewhere. On top of that, obviously, we've got these podcast/video briefings. We've got in-depth features as well, looking at things like Ricardo Fuller's time at Hearts, or looking back at the 22-game unbeaten run in the Derby. There's a look at Edward Malafeev's infamous interim spell.
Yep.
So yeah, there's just been loads, and then that's before we even get into all the usual stuff around matches, which is our predicted lineups, instant analysis, our pre and post match videos, or we normally have an opinion piece that goes out the following morning after a game. So there has been, I feel like in quite a short space of time, we've produced quite a lot of work, and I think that that should give fans a good indication of what's to come, because that's the idea, is that there's still so much more to come as well. We're, like we said in one of our tweets, we're only just getting started. We've got there's a long time to go, and a year's a lot of content. So yeah, I think that's going to be the end of my sales push. I don't know.
I'm glad I pushed it onto you, because shouting about stuff and backslapping is not my thing. I'm not a big fan of it. Just like let our work do the talking. If people like it, then that's fine. If they don't, then that's also fine. People are allowed to dislike things, but like I said, we just want to provide the best Hearts coverage as possible. We want to treat Hearts the same way that kind of Old Firm get treated, because it is, if you look around the industry in general, around Scottish football, Celtic and Rangers get a lot of the focus. Understandably so, they've got two massive fan bases, but you do feel like Hearts especially, probably don't get as much as they should. So we just want to kind of add to what's already out there for Hearts fans. And like you said, we've got so much more planned. For example, I am still agonizingly trying to track down and get Mauricio Pinilla to talk to us about his time at Hearts. But that's,
you keep teasing us with this, with the Pinilla interview. I don't think it's ever coming. This is shameful stuff.
It's going to be one of those where if I finally get him, then that's me done, finished, moving on to a different career. But yeah, that's a long-term aim. But stuff like, we already started speaking to people about the back-to-back third place finishes in the early 2000s. There's loads. We've got a long list of people we want to talk to, features we want to do. So hopefully we'll get it's a big thing with the support and the subscription. The model what they're running is that it gives us the way we do it. We're not here to get clicks. We obviously important to us, but that's not what drives us. Subscriptions drive us, and then that allows us to spend more time on PCs and features and kind of dig deep and scratch below the surface. So yeah, I think we've done pretty well so far, and hopefully a lot of people like the content, and hopefully more to come. So putting that to one side, we will focus on Kilmarnock and the big match at Rugby Park tomorrow. Hearts go into it, having won the last 3 games. James, how are you feeling going into this match tomorrow?
I mean,
trepidatious?
Tempting fate here, but kind of a bit cautiously optimistic, I suppose. And I think Hearts come into this in good form. I think certainly since the change to the back threes happened, at least in league, or at least in games that aren't against Rangers, it's worked, which isn't bad so far. So I think that, I think that gives a kind of new layer of protection. The one concern, obviously, I think going away to Killie is, of course, their threat at set pieces. They're very, very, very good at them. Now, I know you had a piece on the site. Was it yesterday, the day before?
Yeah. See, I'm coming around to this. So this is why I'm so trepidatious, because the amount of people that replied on social media and goes, "Well done, it's going to be 1-0 Kilmarnock from a set piece." And now I'm really scared that it's going to be 1-0 Kilmarnock from a set piece.
Yeah, I think Kilmarnock are very good at set pieces. They're dangerous.
They've got big guys.
And now, judging by your article, which was just pointing out that Hearts are the only team in the league not to have conceded a set piece so far this season.
A goal from a set piece.
Sorry, yeah, of course. So, I mean, is it overdue? If it is overdue, is there any better place for it to come? Is there any more likely place for it to come? So I guess but aside from that, though, I think that just the way the team have been playing recently, particularly the back three, with Bedingame sitting as that 6 in front of the defence, shielding it, really helping control the game. I think that'll really help. The one thing I'd maybe be a bit concerned about would be there's probably, like we've touched on before, there's probably not enough pace in the team, and I think that's something you probably do need when you're playing Kilmarnock in particular. I'm sure we'll go on to talk about maybe predicted lineups or something like that in a wee bit, but I'm not convinced that Liam Boyce and Lawrence Shankland, as well as I think they've worked as a partnership the last couple of games, I think in both games they've been very good, both of them. But I don't know if they're best suited for this one.
Yeah, so we may as well get on to talking about our starting lineups, because we've both suggested and we both predicted that Vargas will be brought into the team. You have you've dropped Lowry, while I've predicted that Lowry. I predicted that Lowry we dropped and Boyce will move deeper with Vargas supporting Shankland, or Shankland supporting Vargas. You've gone for Lowry to maintain his place and Vargas to come in for Boyce. So I think we're both off the agreement that, especially after that St Johnstone game where they had the back three that don't like players running behind them, I think Kilmarnock would probably be the same. We'll get on to talking about Kilmarnock in more detail later on, but I definitely think, especially away from home, you need someone that's got legs to stretch the game and to be a bit more of a threat on the counter-attack. Yeah,
I mean, that was my thinking too, to be honest. And I think that when you look around the squad at the moment, Tagawa's probably the most likely, Vargas is probably the most likely candidate to fill that role. Tagawa's another one who, again, we've been told that he he can play in that position. He can get in behind it as a striker, and with Shanklin perhaps playing a wee bit deeper and making those runs in behind. Fact of the matter is, we don't really know. We've not seen enough of him at this stage. We know he's back to fitness. We know he's probably will be in the squad most likely. You'd imagine at some point over this run of games he'll be getting a go at some point. So I wouldn't be surprised if he came on at some point. I don't think, but I think you do need somebody like Vargas to kind of stretch the play. And obviously Vargas, though he's not really been in the starting 11 the last couple of games either, he probably deserves another chance. I think I feel a bit bad for dropping Boyce in my team just because I thought that he's been very good recently.
Oh, so why have you chosen to go with Lowry instead of Boyce?
It's probably not the most scientific of methods, but basically just going on the fact of he scored last time. He was at Rugby Park, didn't he?
That's fair.
It did pretty well then, and I think that I think Lowry's more of a natural midfielder than Boyce. I think he takes better care of the ball. With it looks more in control, I suppose. I think Boyce, he's got the ball at his feet, I think he's quite tidy with it, but at times it looks a bit chaotic. Whereas I think Lowry's a bit more calm, a little bit more composed. But again, I do wonder if now you've put the point, now you've raised the point, and now I'm thinking maybe you do want that Boyce kind of physicality, and against that Killie midfield, if he's presumably going up against some hard as nails number 6 is just going to kick lumps out of him for 90 minutes.
Yeah, so that with Boyce, I think Naismith maybe mentioned it when we were speaking about lineups on Wednesday, that Naismith spoke to even news earlier on in the week, and he talked about Boyce moving deeper, and that's kind of going to be his future, because he was the guy who scored 20 goals in 2 consecutive seasons with Ross County. He scored 16 in his first season at Hearts, 16 in his second, I think it was, 16 back to back. But he's not been for Hearts what he was for Ross County in that deadly finisher, which we've now have in Lawrence Shanklin. He is sometimes been a bit wasteful in front of goal or takes his time, but outside the box, his ability to link play and his understanding of the game, his intelligence is so good. And I do look at him as like, he is a player who I think can play. He'll just kind of gradually go deeper. So, don't think he'll play as a number 10. It'll be almost like that hybrid between part of the midfield 3, but also having that freedom and license to maybe swap positions with Shanklin and combine. And with Vargas, you've got a player who will want to run in behind for any passes that these two want to thread through. And then you have that threat of Alex Lowry off the bench, where he is, which he did at Rugby Park. He came off the bench and scored the winner, and then you saw his impact against Ross County off the bench. You saw his impact at the start of the season against St Johnstone off the bench. And I think these games off the bench away from home, I think maybe more beneficial to him, where space does begin to open up and he find pockets and he can thread passes through. So that's kind of my thinking around Boyce instead of Lowry.
No, I think so. They're all good points. I think you're right. I think Lowry's definitely the kind of player who does better when he can play in those little pockets of space that inevitably open up the longer a game wears on. So yeah, like you're right, it is a bit of an impact sub in that sense. I was just thinking there as well about Vargas and in the League Cup quarter final, the 2-1 win for Hearts. I remember Vargas was really good that day. I thought he was dangerous and posed a real threat.
Eric McInnes pinpointed him as well afterwards.
Yeah, again, he was causing a lot of trouble. So again, you'd kind of hope that he could just kind of Vargas go and do that thing again, because that worked before. Yeah, the run around thing. So yeah, I think that I don't know. I think part of it as well, I think, is the fact that obviously Rangers Hearts have got Rangers coming up soon as well. That'll be a game that Lowry won't be able to play in. And with the games coming, from a kind of squad management perspective, in terms of how many minutes you're going to give certain players, maybe it's best you give Lowry some minutes here, knowing that he's not going to get any in the next game or coming up. So I think that might be part of my thinking as well. But I do think that I just think if you take Lowry out that team, I think that Boyce, while he is good, he's just not got that same sort of level of creative output. I mean, we've said it before, we'll probably keep banging on this drum, but like Alex Lowry's creative stats are up there with like some of the best in the league in his position. He's mixing it with anyone and everyone. So I just think while he can frustrate and while he can be inconsistent, I just think if you take him out, the team at the moment, I just think you lose quite a lot. So I think that's why I think he's probably deserves to go on that spot. And again, I do feel bad for Boyce, because I think Boyce has actually been really well the last couple of games. But I think someone's got to make way. I think it's going to be Boyce.
And we've both made the change at right wing back and put Civic. We've kind of predicted that Civic will come in there. I take you off the view of the same as me, is that because Forrest maybe struggled up against Luke Robinson, and you've also got the Kelly factor of having a lot of big guys. He gives you a bit more stability, he gives you a bit more aerial presence, and he also showed the quality, or he showed his qualities off the bench. And you'd imagine against Motherwell in the win, and you'd also imagine that Kelly might play Matty Kennedy on the left-hand side, who is a direct runner.
Yeah, I mean that's. I mean, it's going to be. I just think, particularly after Forrest's last couple of appearances, I mean, especially against St Johnstone, I think that he's not played particularly well, so his position was already going to be under threat as is. But then you look at this game and you think, yeah, up against somebody like Matty Kennedy, quick, direct winger who likes to attack with purpose. Yeah, I don't know if you really fancy Alan Forrest to be in that battle, whereas someone like Toby Civic, I think you probably do. And again, the other thing as well that Civic's got going for him with the screen game, we touched on it earlier, he's a very big guy, and Kelly have got a lot of very big guys too, and they're going to probably have a lot of set pieces, and having another 6'2" guy or whatever he is in the box to be lumping crosses clear or whatever, that could make a really big difference against a team like Kelly. That could be a difference between winning and losing. So I think it makes sense. I think that Forrest, I don't think he's particularly suited to this game anyway, and then the fact that he's not been in the greatest of form the last couple of games, that makes it a bit of an easy decision, I would think.
And then the kind of final change we kind of predicted, I've gone for Cammy Devlin, you've gone for Callum Neuenhoff. Devlin, I just thought, you pointed out in your analysis piece after the St Johnstone game that Hearts missed a ball-winning player there. Devlin is that player. I know he's had to have his time on the sidelines. So I think this Kelly game, where it could be a bit scrappy in midfield and could do with a player like him, would really suit the team. I know you're a big fan of Cammy Devlin, so why have you opted for Callum Neuenhoff?
So basically,
just
because
trying to predict, you're just trying to put yourself in the mindset of Steven Naismith.
Exactly. I'm not picking what I would like to see. I'm picking what Naismith's going to have. Like Naismith will do, and for some reason, Cammy Smith seems to be has to slip a fair bit down the pecking order over the last few weeks. And I think Callum Neuenhoff, Naismith seems to trust him and rely on him more. He seems to, Neuenhoff's been playing a lot throughout the season, a couple of different positions as well. So yeah, just for that reason, I think it's just Neuenhoff seems to be more trusted than Devlin at the moment. Even though I agree, actually, I think Devlin would be a better suit for this one, because the Kelly midfielder, we know they're going to be like very hard working, they're going to be industrious, they're going to cover a lot of ground, and these are exactly the kind of players that you want Cammy Devlin buzzing around and just being a nuisance. That's what he's great at.
Absolutely. You mentioned another Kelly strength. They were there. They can scrap and can battle really well, and I think they've just talking about the threat they pose. We've obviously mentioned their defence. So you've got Joe Wright, who was on trial at Hearts at one point, Robbie Dees, Lewis Mayo, and Stuart Finlay. So sometimes the lads, just like looking at their last few games, they've been switching between a back four and a back three. They can play a back four with 4 centre backs, or they can play a back three with, again, 3 centre backs and three guys who are good in there. But I think probably 3/4 of them, certainly Finlay, Dees, and Mayo, are comfortable on the ball. They're good football players as well. It's be interesting to see what Kilmarnock do tomorrow. I'd imagine they will, having played with a back four up at Ross County, they drew 0-0. I think they'll go and switch to a back three and have the dual threat up front of Kyle Vassell and Marley Watkins. Vassell's had his injury issues, but he came off the bench at the weekend, and the pair of them together are a real handful. And that's why Naismith's spoken recently about he's going to change formation, and kind of the formation depending on the game, depending on the opposition. But you'll look at Kilmarnock and think they could play Vassell and Watkins up front. You want to have that back three to at least have a spare man to kind of deal with that.
Definitely. I mean, I think Vassell in particular is a real handful. Like, I've been really impressed with him. I think this season, he's been great. Like, it took him a wee while to get going. I think it took him a while to get up to speed at Kelly, but Ever since he's not really looked back. I think he's been a great signing for them. So yeah, I mean, certainly if it was like, you wouldn't really fancy, for instance, Kai Rose up against Vassell for 90 minutes, you wouldn't really fancy that, that'll end up with, no nasty surprises at any point. Whereas I think, like we say, just having that extra man does make the world of difference, particularly against Killie, where, they are going to be, it's going to be a big physical battle. It's going to be directed. Every so often defenders are going to lose some of those because that's the nature of football. So just having that extra man there to cover, to having most likely Kent to kind of sweep in behind, set and just protect that defence. That's probably going to be really important, because we know that Killie, they're not going to attack directly with pace through the middle. So you don't really have to worry too much about getting turned in the central areas. It's more just about standing up to that physical battle and just making sure that there aren't those little gaps to squeeze through.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it'd be key to point out Alex Cochrane's role as well, because he's most likely going to come up against Danny Armstrong, a really talented player who usually plays on the right. He's got a great left foot. He always looks to shift it onto his left foot, and he tries to bend those crosses in behind the opposition. In this time, Hearts defence for the likes of Vassell and Watkins and midfield runners as well. So Alex Cochrane will have a big game if he can win. So if he can win his individual battles, if Hearts can win their individual battles, they have the quality, more quality than Kilmarnock, to walk away with 3 points. And James, if Hearts do walk away with 3 points, not only do they move into third place, you would think for up until like Tuesday, Wednesday at least, because you'd imagine Rangers won't get beat by St Mirren on Sunday afternoon. As well as that, it's the 4 consecutive league wins. It'll be the first time since the start of the 2018-19 season, I think it was. And then it will be 4 away league wins. That would be already more than the entire last season, when Hearts won 3 away 3 wins away from home. Massive opportunity for a team who've been doubted, or the manager's been criticised and doubted. It's a massive opportunity for them to continue that momentum and build. My issue is that I have been a Heart of Midlothian fan for 34 years. So you add in an opportunity, an away game, and a Kilmarnock side who are good in the air, and you're just like, I know what's happening here.
You could be forgiven for feeling that way. I get it. I understand, and but I would then also just say, well, look at the evidence of the last few games. Even going back over that, look at the evidence of the last, kind of 2 months or so. Basically, kind of going back to that win at Rugby Park. Since then, there's been hiccups along the way. It's not been perfect, but I think there has been a steady improvement in the team as the season's worn on. I think we're seeing that, and I think that, the thing as well about McKinley is that kind of from a tactical perspective, we all know what to expect. We've all seen Derek McInnes teams enough over the years, and we know that he's not exactly, he's pretty rigid when it comes to how his teams like to play. They play a very particular manner. So I don't think there's no real surprises. So the players and the coaching staff should know exactly what they're walking in for. They should know exactly where the threats lie and how you play against these teams and how you defend against these teams. Because, like we say, there's so much evidence there, and every person that walks in the stadium tomorrow is going to know exactly what to expect from the game. And it's just about, okay, now how can you put that into practice? And over the last, certainly over the last 3 league games at least, anyway, Hearts have been doing that excellently. They've not. There's bits that could have been better, but ultimately they've got wins on the board, and particularly at this stage of the season when there's so much football crammed into such a small window. Yeah, that's the most important thing. And again, also with Hearts, in Hearts' case, bigger tests are coming up. So again, this is another great opportunity to get some points on the board, because chances are over the next month or so, there probably will be a few games where points are dropped. You'd imagine, because it'd be great if there weren't, though.
I know.
All fun, but I wouldn't hold your breath.
Yeah, and getting to finish up, I think I'll be interested. I'm probably most interested to see how Kilmarnock approach it. Like you talked about the kind of rigid structure. And I think we'll know roughly who the team will be. I think it will be a back 3 with Kilmarnock. And They will be hard to beat and they'll be direct, but I'm interested to see how aggressive they're going to be, because the Hearts probably would like them to try and get in their face, just because, rather than just sit off into a bank of like a bank of three, a bank of five with two direct strikers to hit. So I'll be interested to see how far up the pitch Kilmarnock will try to engage Hearts and try and break that control that Naismith's team do have.
No, yeah, I mean, there's definitely going to be an onus on Kelly to attack, being the home team. Obviously, the fans are going to want that as well. So I think that is an interesting point. You're right. I mean, historically, it tends to be McKenna's team tend to sit pretty deep and don't press particularly high up the park at all. But I mean, they have done it on occasion at Killie, and they've done it to good effect. I think, for instance, the early cup tie against Celtic when they knocked them out at Rugby Park in the last 16. So they're. It wouldn't surprise me, but again, I think that would probably play into Hearts' hands. To be honest, I think if the game becomes a little bit more, like a little bit more end to end, a little less kind of sterile and controlled, I think at that point we start getting into it becomes a little bit individual battles, and as we said earlier, if it comes down to individual battles, Hearts have got better players, man for man and pound for pound, so you'd expect Hearts to win that. So I think it'd be nice if they kind of played pressed aggressively and played high up the park and all that, because I think it would play into Hearts' hands. But I don't know, McInnes going to McInnes, I don't think so.
So James, to finish up, give me a prediction, please.
I will go for a pulsating 1-1 draw.
More positive than me, just because my fatalistic instincts have taken over me, and I'm going to go 1-0 Kilmarnock. So hopefully we're both wrong. Hopefully.
Hopefully.
It is a Heart of Midlothian win, and we are talking about a team that are in third place come in 26 hours' time, if my math is correct. That will do us talking about the game. I'll just today in this video, this podcast, if you're listening. Again, just want to mention the subscription offer. You can go across to www.heartstandard.co.uk/subscribe. You can subscribe for £10. That gives you annual access for a year to all the content, and that will be running until midnight tonight, and then it will revert back to the usual price. So if you do like Hearts and you do like the Cut for Jib, go and sign up and see what it is all about, and we'd very much appreciate it. If you don't, that's fine. Anyway, James, thank you very much. Goodbye.